It was a sweltering summer afternoon at a private auto show in downtown Houston. A crowd had gathered around a gleaming, custom-built V12 hypercar owned by none other than tech billionaire Maxwell Crane. But something was wrong. The hood was popped open, and a team of elite mechanics huddled around it, scratching their heads. The engine had stalled moments before the demonstration. Cameras clicked. Spectators whispered. Maxwell stood nearby, visibly frustrated. "How can the best engineers in Texas not fix one car?" he muttered. That's when a small voice interrupted, cutting through the murmurs. "I could try," said a young girl quietly. The crowd turned. Standing just outside the barrier was a girl in torn jeans and oversized sneakers, holding a tiny toolbox. Her hair was tied back, smudged with grease. She couldn't have been older than 12. A few people chuckled. A few others raised their phones. But Maxwell raised an eyebrow. "You?" he asked. The girl nodded. "I work at my uncle's garage. I've seen this problem before." The billionaire hesitated, then stepped aside. "All right, kid. Impress me." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The girl ducked under the barrier and walked straight to the open hood. Hands steady, eyes focused. Her name was Lila. She didn't ask questions or fumble. She pulled out a small flashlight and scanned the wiring. Within seconds she spotted a minor connector buried behind a sensor module damaged, likely from heat expansion. She reached for a tiny roll of tape and a short bypass wire. The watching engineers looked stunned. "That's not in the manual," one murmured. "She's bypassing the failsafe to reset the ignition." Another added, "And she's right." With a quiet snap and click, Lila finished the repair. "Try it now," she said, stepping back. Maxwell got in and turned the key. The engine roared to life, stronger than before. The crowd exploded into applause. Maxwell stepped out slowly, his mouth slightly open. "That actually worked," he said, walking toward her. "Where did you learn that?" Lila shrugged. "My dad used to teach me before he passed. Now I help Uncle Ray at the garage. He lets me fix the tricky stuff." A reporter snapped. A picture of Lila wiping her hands. Another person yelled, "She just schooled 5 certified engineers." The moment went viral. Within hours. Memes, headlines, and praise flooded the internet. But Lila didn't go online. She went back to work. The next morning, Maxwell showed up at Uncle Ray's garage in a matte black Tesla. Lila was elbow deep in a rusty truck's engine. "You're hard to find," he said. Layla just grinned and asked for a wrench. He watched her work, genuinely impressed. "You ever think about becoming an engineer?" he asked. "I don't think I can afford the schools," she replied. "Besides, I kinda like it here." Maxwell nodded slowly. Then he asked Uncle Ray if they could talk. They disappeared into the office for 10 minutes. When they came out, Uncle Ray was blinking back tears. That afternoon, Lila was offered a full scholarship funded personally by Maxwell to attend the nation's best prep school for engineering. But she hesitated. "Can I still help here?" "On weekends?" she asked. "This place raised me." Maxwell chuckled. "I think you'll be helping a lot more people if you say yes." Lila agreed. The news hit national media. 12-year-old girl fixes billionaire's engine, earns elite scholarship. Offers poured in. Tech companies sent her gifts. Engineering schools wrote letters. But Lila wasn't in it for the fame. She just wanted to fix things. And one broken engine had opened every door. Weeks later, Maxwell invited her to his R&D lab. She was still 12, but engineers treated her like a peer. She found flaws in a prototype design, suggested changes, and even sketched her own idea for an eco-friendly turbocharger. One engineer whispered, "She's like a young Tesla with ponytails." But Lila stayed grounded. At school, she kept acing her math and physics classes. At the garage, she still changed oil and helped walk-ins. She never stopped learning, never stopped turning wrenches. Her dad had once told her, if you can listen to an engine, it'll tell you everything. She listened. One day, a new girl came to the garage, maybe 10 years old, watching Lila work. She looked nervous, clutching a notebook. I want to learn like you, she said shyly. Lila wiped her hands and smiled. You're already smarter than half the people I know. Let's start with spark plugs. Maxwell, standing in the doorway, watched quietly. You were right, he told Uncle Ray. She doesn't need a stage. She is the stage. Uncle Ray nodded. She's her father's daughter. But she's blazing her own road. The billionaire chuckled. Let me know when she's ready to run my company. A year later, Lila stood on stage at a youth innovation conference, invited as a guest speaker. She wore jeans and her trademark ponytail, standing in front of CEOs and scientists. She spoke about curiosity, about listening to machines, about the day no one believed in her until one man did. Her final words echoed through the hall. It's not about how old you are. It's about how open your mind is. The room rose in applause. Maxwell, seated in the front row, smiled proudly. Lila didn't see herself as a hero. But for thousands of kids watching, she was one. Back in Houston, Uncle Ray expanded the garage with funds from donations and Maxwell's support. They opened a youth tech bay where kids like Lila could learn hands-on. Lila visited every weekend, still wearing the same worn tool belt. She fixed cars, mentored kids, and rebuilt the community one engine at a time. She didn't let cameras follow her. She said no to book deals. She wasn't interested in becoming famous. She just wanted to make sure every impossible girl out there knew she could do it too. Because once, all she had was a wrench and a chance. The billionaire world couldn't quite figure her out. She turned down internships, TV shows, even a luxury car. I'm 13, she laughed. Let me finish algebra first. But quietly, she inspired a wave of scholarships for girls in STEM. Maxwell started a foundation in her name. Teachers began using her story to motivate students. And still, Lila just kept showing up, grease-stained, focused, smiling. Engines don't care if you're rich or famous, she once said. They just want to run right, so do people. She had no idea that those simple words would end up on posters in classrooms across America. Years later, when Lila stood outside her own auto engineering company founded before she turned 18, she looked at the first car she ever fixed. Maxwell had it restored and gifted it to her. She placed her dad's photo on the dash and whispered, "We did it, Pops." That car wasn't a monument to her fame. It was a reminder that talent can come from anywhere. And sometimes, when a 12-year-old girl walks up with grease on her hands and courage in her heart, the world has no choice but to watch and learn.